Pacers win the finals, that TJ McConnell is finals MVP, their defense was swarming. I don't know how he got that. He like swam on the floor. They don't just like run you over. Suns, they want to basically get back what they paid for KD if they're going to trade him. And chances are that's not going to happen. Jalen Williams just dropped 40 in the biggest game of his life in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. So let's talk about how the Thunder just took a 3-2 lead and are 1 win away from getting their first NBA championship ever. This is really exciting if you're a Thunder fan or, you know, just for the Thunder franchise in general, because remember, they have never won a championship, you know, in the totality of their franchise existence. To be fair, this franchise, if you don't remember, was moved from Seattle. So they weren't always in OKC. They moved in 2008, I believe. So it's not that they have the longest tenured history without a championship, I guess, if you want to say, right? Like, I don't know if actually they're the last team to move. The New Orleans Hornets, I think they're the last team to move, you know, when Chris Paul was on that team. I think that's the last team to move. But regardless, they haven't been around for the longest time, but they've had some really good teams over the years, and they went to the finals in 2012 and they couldn't get it done. And now this team is 1 win away from going to the finals, 1 win away from getting their first championship for this franchise ever, and for a lot of these players, their first championship ever as well. Like, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has obviously never won an NBA championship. Chet, Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso won one with the Lakers in 2020. Isaiah Hartenstein, Lou Dort, like, go up and down the roster. It's going to be majority of these players' first championship ever if they get it done. I'm not trying to count the Pacers out yet, but it's really feeling like OKC is going to win, which I feel like a lot of people kind of expected before the series started. And let's talk about what happened in this game, how OKC got this done. And let's start with that man, Jalen Williams. He was one of the biggest reasons why they won this game. Something I said in my previous streams is that we cannot, or they cannot, ask more out of Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren. You know why? Because even though they are having a couple of off games sometimes, you know, like, I don't remember if it was last game that Jalen Williams scored 6 points. I think he actually had 17 last game. Maybe it was the game before. He's had some really, really awesome games, and he's had a couple of, you know, not so awesome games in his playoffs. But this is his first playoffs, and everybody has to go through these stretches when you not only are as young as he is, but as inexperienced as he is. And obviously Chet has even less experience because he missed his first year with the foot fracture. So I say all that to say, the fact that they are all, like, yes, we have leadership in Alex Caruso, who's a veteran. Shai's never been to the finals, but obviously he looks like a veteran. He's been in the league a while, but he's still never been here either, right? So they do have some veteran leadership, but the fact of the matter is, whoever you're relying on outside of Shai is Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. And why I say you can't ask more out of them is that for never being there before and being able to adjust so quickly is absolutely incredible. Like, the fact that they can literally adjust back into, like, Jalen Williams getting 40 this game despite not having, you know, his best game prior or the game before. The fact that he's able to score 40 in the NBA Finals is incredible. Like, that's a playoff career high for him, obviously. And he was just everywhere. Like, he was not going to let them lose. So this team is 1 win away from winning the NBA Finals with the lack of experience, you know, that they have. And that's really a testament to how deep of a team they are, how well put together they are, how well they mesh, how well they play defense, because we'll talk about their defense in this game was incredible. And they are just a team, like a really good, well-rounded team, and Shai shows up when the moment is needed. So Jalen Williams was awesome, 40 points, like, good for him. You know, shout out to Jalen Williams. Let's talk about their defense. Their defense was swarming in this game. Like swarming. Because let me tell you something about OKC's defense. I know there are mixed opinions on their defense, and some people are saying they get away with things that other teams don't, and their physicality is not fair, and this, that, and the third. Number one, the memo, before this playoff started was apparently more physicality, which I don't think anybody disagreed with, but I and many others think that it went way too far just to start the playoffs and stuff like that. So that's one thing, right? And OKC is not immune to that. Every team had, to either deal with that or were doing that themselves as a team, taking advantage of the allowed physicality. So that's all well and fair. But I don't think OKC gets enough credit for how smart they play defense. Because OKC is a smart physical defense. They don't just like run you over, right? Like they're not just like literally pushing you to the floor and it's clearly an offensive foul and they're not calling it, right? Like that is not what's happening. Like sometimes that happens. Like I'm not saying that never happens, but there is a lot of plays where OKC is just playing physical defense, yes, but nobody is reaching in. Like Alex Caruso and Lou Dort are the two best examples, of course. They're not reaching their hands in. They're straight up defense. They're moving their feet. It's just because they're so strong and physical, they're able to use their good hands and steal the ball from you. Or you go up for a layup and they jump straight up. I saw one play, it might have been in the Minnesota series, I think it was, with Lou Dort, where Minnesota was like arguing it was a foul. I think it was that series. They showed the replay. Lou Dort jumped with whoever that was. I think it might have been Dante DiVincenzo, but don't quote me on that. He went straight up. When I tell you straight up, I mean he did not foul that man in any way, shape, or form. And so I feel like there are things that OKC gets away with physically, like playing on physicality and, some fouls that should be called. I think you could say that about every team. Like that always happens. But I don't think OKC is getting enough credit for just the smart physical defense they play because they're not always fouling. Like, how many of those steals did you see today were clean steals? Alex Caruso, like diving on this was like after the steal, but like diving on the floor for the loose balls, getting in the passing lanes. There were 2 Andrew Nembhard turnovers where, and it might have been in a few minutes span of each other. One of them was the Alex Caruso one I just mentioned, where he ended up diving on the floor. I don't know how he got that. He like swam on the floor. If you saw that play, you saw Alex Caruso got in the passing lane and read the play that Andrew Nembhard was going to pass it to Pascal Siakam. He stole the ball, but obviously he couldn't catch it, properly. And so he like swam at half court and grabbed the ball before it went all the way to Pascal Siakam. I don't know how he got it. Like, I don't know how he like slid on the floor like that. Regardless, so that was one of them. And then a few minutes prior, Andrew Nembhard was not at the top of the key. He was a little bit past that inside the circle. And he was being guarded by, I don't remember who he was being guarded by. Maybe it was Alex Caruso who was guarding him, although that doesn't make sense, but whatever. And he went to turn around to pass it to Tyrese Halliburton. And Tyrese Halliburton went left instead of right. And Andrew Nembhard passed it to the right, I guess, at the top of the key, because that's where he thought Tyrese Halliburton was going to be. And he wasn't. And they got another steal. And so OKC is reading the passing lanes and turning them over that way. Like, I just wanted to point that out because I do understand that they obviously are getting away with some things. And I think you could say that about every team. The Pacers have gotten away with fouls that were, not called. I just think OKC in totality is just playing smarter, better defense in that sense. Like, they're not necessarily fouling. Like I just pointed out 2 specific plays. Unfortunately, they were both Andrew Nembhard, but they were not fouls in any way, shape, or form. They just turned the ball over, which OKC is one of the best at turning you over. Like, the Pacers had 22 turnovers today, something like that, which is not very good. But that is what OKC is known for doing. You know what OKC also found in this game? They found their fast break points. Because if you remember, game 1 for sure. Game 2, I think also game 3. I don't know how many fast break points they had in game 4. I don't know. But, for example, in game 1, they turned the Pacers over like 20 times in the first half. Right? But you know what the problem was? They had gotten, I think, 0 or maybe 3 transition points off of those turnovers. They finished that game 1 with less transition points off turnovers or whatever than the Pacers. The Pacers had 6, they had 3 for the whole game. And they had 20 turnovers on the Pacers in the first half. So, what that tells you is they were not capitalizing on the turnovers, which is why I said in game 1, it wasn't as if the Pacers had 20 plus turnovers in the first half because the Thunder didn't capitalize on any of them. But in addition, the Pacers obviously are one of the best at getting back in transition defense. So OKC had to adjust to that because the Pacers get back. They don't just allow you to get layups off of steals or anything. They get back. So OKC finally figured out how to turn the Pacers over and then capitalize because they had 32 fast break points, I believe. I don't know if they finished the game with that, but they had that at one point. Maybe they had a few more by the end of the game. They had at least 32 fast break points. So that's one of the biggest differences in the game. Turning over the Pacers and actually capitalizing on it, right? Like, that is where it made a huge difference in this game. Somebody said, don't ever forget about my team, Celtics. Both OKC and Pacers built their team specifically to beat the Celtics. I don't know about that. I don't know that they did that, to be honest. The Celtics obviously, unfortunately, Jason Tatum's injury is going to take them out of the championship conversation next year. Even though you still have Jaylen Brown and Derek White, and they're listening to offers on Drew Holiday apparently right now. But obviously without Jason Tatum, I think it's fair to say that they are not going to be a championship contender. Obviously with Jason Tatum there, they will be in the conversation for that. But I don't necessarily agree that the Thunder, at least the Thunder for sure, that they built that, because the Thunder, I don't even know if they expected to be this good this quickly. Because again, Chet is only in his second year in the league, and Jaylen's only 1 year, further than him. So I think they all had hopes that they would be this good at some point, but I don't even know if they expected it to be this fast. I don't think they built this team to beat the Celtics, but I do agree with you that the Celtics, obviously, when Jason Tatum comes back, will have a chance to be a championship contender, depending on what they do to build around, Jason Tatum when he comes back and what he looks like after his injury. I can't say I agree with you that they built this team to beat the Celtics rather, but I appreciate your comment, and maybe, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I just personally don't think that. But OKC is doing their thing, and TJ McConnell, I was trying to remember who I want to talk about. TJ McConnell, can we just talk about what kind of impact he has had on this Pacers team throughout the entire playoffs? In this finals, I was watching the game and I was like, I've picked OKC to win the finals. That was my pick before it started. That's obviously my pick now. I've stuck with it all the way through. Even when the Pacers were up 2-1, I still thought OKC was going to win. But when I was watching the game and you saw TJ McConnell literally change the entire game, literally TJ McConnell came in, had a career high in points in a quarter, was doing everything, literally changed the entire game for the Pacers. I was like, is there a world where if the Pacers win the finals, that TJ McConnell is finals MVP? Because I'm not going to lie, I think at the end of the day, it wouldn't go to TJ McConnell had that happened. I can't, I don't know, I just feel like they wouldn't give it to him, but I was like, I feel like he has actually a chance to win finals MVP. I feel like he should get some votes because he has actually been one of their most impactful players. And like, again, I don't think he would have won it. And again, I still think OKC is going to win the finals, and I did anyway. But it was just a thought. I'm like, TJ McConnell has a legit shot to win finals MVP if the Pacers win the finals. So shout out to TJ McConnell, because I bet people didn't think that was going to happen. I don't think people did, but TJ McConnell's always been like a solid player. I remember when he was on the Sixers, when they were not good at all, right? Like that was the trust the process days, right? When he was there, I don't remember if he was there right after they drafted Embiid and he didn't play, you know, when Embiid was hurt, or if he was playing right before Embiid. I know he played with Nerlens Noel. I'm trying to remember if Nerlens Noel was drafted the year before Embiid, or timeline's a little fuzzy. But TJ McConnell was on those teams, the trust the process, you know, not very good Sixers teams. I think he was on the Sixers team that had 9 wins. Don't quote me on that, but I think he was. Regardless, I remember watching the Sixers with him playing then, and obviously he was a lot younger then. And I remember watching and thinking, like, this guy's good. Like, he's just, like, solid. Like, obviously, there was only so much you could do with that roster and stuff like that. And I'm not saying TJ McConnell is, you know, the all-NBA player, but I literally remember watching and being like, TJ McConnell is pretty good. And I was like, wherever he goes next, I think he'll be good. And he's been pretty good in his career, so I guess I wasn't wrong on that. But basically, I just wanted to shout out OKC. I think they did what we expected them to do. Somebody said Pacers picked up some good players. You mean like this offseason to get to the NBA Finals? I agree. Like, the trade for Pascal Siakam was key for them. That was absolutely the best trade they could have made, because Pascal Siakam gives them elements that they didn't have on the roster, that they still don't have. Like, Pascal Siakam is their most versatile scorer on the team, because he can create his own shot. He can get it done mid-range. He can go to the basket. He's a pretty good three-point shooter. Obviously, he's not like a three-point specialist, but he can, you know, get it done multiple ways. And when you need a basket, you can just give it to him and basically get out of the way, as people like to say. Give it to him and get out of the way, and he'll get some kind of basket one way, shape, or form. So I do love that trade for Pascal Siakam. Also, if you watch this page, it's been a while since like that happens. Ben Matherin's in year 3, I think, now at this point. When that draft was happening, though, if you were an OG, you remember I was so high on Ben Mathurin coming out of that draft. I was like, that guy is going to be so good. His rookie season, he was great. Last year, he obviously had a bit of a down season. He also got hurt, so he didn't play in the playoffs, or at least majority of the playoffs. I don't think he played at all in the playoffs, to be honest. And so we don't know what he would have done in the playoffs. And then in this playoffs, he obviously started off not playing very well, but then he was on. When he was on, he was on. And, you know, he's going to develop and get better as he gets more experience in the league. And to be fair, he is not going to get the minutes or touches that what number draft pick was he? I can't remember. But he was a first-round pick. I don't remember if he was a lottery pick. I feel like he was. I feel like he was pick number 6, but I don't know why I can't remember. Regardless, with Pascal Siakam and Halliburton and all the players they have, he's not going to get all the touches to be a 20-point-per-game scorer. It's just not going to happen. But I'm still high on Ben Mathurin. You see the flashes. Like, this is exactly what, like, I saw from him when he was at Arizona. I was like, oh, this guy is going to be really good in the NBA. And his motor is crazy.